school shooting. We have an active shooter, several people down.
My friend said he saw some kid walking down the hallway with a gun or something.
We need SWAT. He's actively shooting. He's in the art room. We got shots fired right now, guys.
I shouldn't be going through this at my school. Like, this is my daily life. I shouldn't have to feel like that.
It's been happening everywhere. I've always kind of felt like eventually it was going to happen here too.
And good evening. As we begin on this solemn night, Chopper 5 live over the Alamo here in San Antonio, where the American flag is flying half-staff.
President Trump issued the order as the nation comes to terms with another deadly school shooting.
The city of Santa Fe, Texas gathered for this vigil tonight to remember the 10 people killed when a student opened fire at that high school just as classes were getting started this morning.
Tonight, the suspect is being held without bond in a Galveston County jail. 17-year-old Demetrios Pagorchis made his first court appearance on charges of capital murder. Court documents state the teen admitted to shooting several people at the high school, but he did not shoot students he liked so they could tell his story.
Authorities say he was armed with a shotgun and a revolver when he opened fire. Courtney Zabowski is in Santa Fe for us in southeast Texas, about 35 miles from Houston.
Students were in their first period classes when the shooting started.
I heard so many people saying that, like, there was gunshots and that, like, people were dead.
Someone pulled the fire alarm and students ran for their lives. This sophomore went to nearby woods for cover.
I shouldn't be going through this at my school. Like, this is my daily life. I shouldn't have to feel like that.
At least 10 people were killed, including Sabika Sheikh, an exchange student from Pakistan, and substitute teacher Ann Perkins. The suspect, 17-year-old Demetrios Pagorchis, is charged with capital murder and aggravated assault of a peace officer.
He gave himself up and admitted at the time that he didn't have the courage to commit the suicide.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott says there were no real warning signs about the suspected shooter outside of a Born to Kill t-shirt on his Facebook page. Senior Wesley Hill knows him from driving class.
I didn't have any problems with him. I thought he was a cool guy. He was an interesting guy. He was very, very smart.
Police say Pagorchis also booby-trapped the school and surrounding areas with pipe bombs and pressure cookers that search teams are tracking down.
Because of the threat of these explosive items, community members should be on the lookout for any suspicious items.
Parents rushed to the scene after receiving an emergency alert from the school district.
Just really scary. Really, really scary. It's been happening everywhere. I've always kind of felt like eventually it was going to happen here too.
Texas officials vow it will never happen again. The governor says he will host a roundtable to discuss how to prevent school shootings next week.
And again, that was Courtney Zabowski reporting for us. And as she indicated in her story tonight, we've learned some of the names of the 10 people killed in today's tragedy. And here are a few of their faces.
Most of the victims were students like Chris Stone. He was finishing up his junior year. And those 10 victims have been the focus of the saddened Santa Fe high school community all day. Kayla Norwin was there as they gathered for a vigil.
It's been a really long day for many in the Santa Fe community, and hours after the vigil is over, people are still out here to pay their respects.
Knowing all these families out here, it feels like a bad dream.
Hand in hand, a community emotionally torn apart through tragedy came together in unity.
I was really upset. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It still doesn't feel real.
A crowd of people standing strong during a prayer vigil Friday night at Texas First Bank, just up the road from Santa Fe High School where the deadly shooting took place. Before leading the community in prayer, an emotional moment from a Santa Fe pastor.
The Bible's clear in Romans chapter 12 that we are to weep with those who weep. Before being a minister, I'm a parent of a 12-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl. My heart is ripped out tonight.
That feeling echoed in the audience, but also a sense of hope from Texas leaders.
This community coming together, if you want to know the strength of Santa Fe, Texas, look at the men and women gathered here.
One by one, people laid down flowers and candles to honor the shooting victims. A student at Santa Fe High School says her friend was one of them.
It's really sad to see that he's gone. feel so bad for his family. And I hope they're okay, and I'm going to keep them all in my prayers.
Despite the tragedy, those who grew up in Santa Fe confident that the community will move forward.
This is the strongest community that I know of, and we're gonna get through this.
You can see the 10 candles still lit here, representing the 10 lives lost. And in this tight-knit community, this evening is about showing that they are still there for one another through the good times and the bad. In Santa Fe, Texas, I'm Kayla Norwood.
Classes at Santa Fe ISD have now been canceled through at least Tuesday in the wake of the deadly shooting. And here are some quick facts about the high school. Classes start at 7:10, and then the first 911 call reported the shooting came in just 20 minutes later. More than 1,400 students attend the school, and they were getting ready for spring semester exams next week. Their last day of school just about 2 weeks away. Among the 10 people wounded in the shooting, a Santa Fe ISD district police officer. John Barnes was shot in the arm and at last report was undergoing surgery to treat a damaged artery.
He remains in critical condition. His main injury was to his arm and an artery in his arm, and I think the bone in that arm. So that is what's being addressed in the OR.
The accused gunman faces a charge tonight for aggravated assault of a peace officer for Barnes' injury. A 50-year-old woman was also undergoing surgery after she was shot in the leg. At least 7 other patients were treated for their injuries and released.
One student who was shot in the back of the head was able to walk out of the hospital. Rome Schubert, a pitcher of his high school baseball team, described his close call with the gunman.
Trench coat on, pistol in his hand, I want to say shotgun across his chest. If it would have been, I feel like he fired the shotgun right before he left because that was the loudest of all of them. And I know he fired the pistol a few times. I physically watched him fire the pistol 3 times at least. But he had fired 10 or 12 shots in that room before he left. I'm just thinking that I'm one of the lucky ones, and I'm glad that God spared me, but I just feel bad that they didn't make it, and that they had no reason to be shot or anything. They didn't deserve that.
Well, she treated the trauma wounds of victims in the Sutherland Springs church tragedy, and today's tragedy reminded one San Antonio trauma surgeon once again of the consequences of gun violence on a school campus. Eyewitness News reporter Andrea Martinez joins us now from University Hospital with more. Andrea?
Yeah, Jeff, many of the trauma surgeons here at this hospital were taken back today to just a few months ago when they treated those victims of the Sutherland Springs tragedy. Dr. Ashley McGinnity was one of them.
Dr. Ashley McGinnity is in the business of saving and changing lives. That's what she signs up for every day in the trauma center at University Hospital. But it was a different story on November 5th of last year when a gunman opened fire at a Sutherland Springs church.
When you come to work, you think that you kind of have an expectation for what you're going to see, and there's no way to have an expectation for seeing that.
Today's shooting at Santa Fe High School is no different.
The problem with some of the more high velocity weapons is they can lead to bad tissue destruction and injuries that just require lots of care, both wound care, multiple surgeries. It's a big problem. It's a community problem. It's a medical problem. It's a policy problem. It's a problem for all of us.
It's a financial problem, too. One source estimates the cost of gun violence in the U.S. to be as high as $229 billion a year.
The amount of gun violence that's going on is just increasing the amount of patients that we're seeing. And whenever you have an event like that, the toll that it takes on the community, both in the logistics and the resources and the emotions and the social aspect, but I think you can't ignore the financial burden that it takes both on the hospital and on the community and us nationally. I think it's pretty significant.
Now, some of the Sutherland Springs victims, Dr. McGinnity says some of those victims are still recovering with surgeries, procedures, and therapies, and she says the same is expected for some of the victims in today's shooting. Reporting live from the medical center, I'm Andrea Martinez. Back to you.
Thank you. Parents everywhere are hugging their children just a little tighter tonight after learning about today's tragedy. We spoke with parents outside MacArthur High School, most of whom voiced concern about another mass shooting in Texas.
It's been going on for years. We drop our kids off expecting to pick them up, and then someone with a mental problem or whatever, they come around and they want to take people out before they harm themselves.
I just hope it never happens here. I mean, it's at our back door already. It could happen here at any given time, And she's all I got. That girl right there is all I got in this world.
The concerns of parents everywhere tonight. Well, the Santa Fe shooting has once again sparked the debate over gun control. Students fed up with violence have already taken action. Capitol Police arrested several who were protesting outside the office of U.S. House Speaker Paul Ryan.
President Donald Trump has activated his Gun Safety Commission and is expected to meet with members next week. He addressed the Santa Fe school shooting during a summit on prison reform.
We grieve for the terrible loss of life and send our support and love to everyone affected by this absolutely horrific attack. To the students, families, teachers, and personnel at Santa Fe High, we're with you in this tragic hour, and we will be with you forever. My administration is determined to do everything in our power to protect our students, secure our schools, and to keep weapons out of the hands of those who pose a threat to themselves and to others.
White House spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders said the president convened the commission after the Parkland, Florida shooting in February. She declined to say whether Trump will revisit some gun control measures after another school shooting.
And we will keep you up to date on the Santa Fe shooting all weekend long here at KENS 5 with coverage on air and online at KENS5.com.